I think in the current environment, we're learning a lot about ourselves, and we're learning a lot about our ability to tackle challenges and overcome adversity. And I think the speed at which we're learning and I guess completing things now is unprecedented. I really believe that what we've learned over the last 3 months is almost equivalent to 30 years of learning.
Welcome to another episode of the peopleHum interview series. I'm your host Akanksha Kulkarni, and let's begin with a quick introduction of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM, that is specifically built for crafted employee experience and the future of work. We run the peopleHum blog and the video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Michael Henry is the founder and managing director of Spear Consulting. His main specialties include strategy development and execution, digital transformation for user experience enhancements, native understanding of market dynamics, thought leadership of future of work, connected workers, smart city and digital economy technology, and impacts and alignment of the technology strategy with corporate objectives and management consulting. We are extremely happy and honored to have him on our interview series today. Welcome, Michael. We are thrilled to have you.
Great, thanks so much, and thank you so much for that great introduction.
Definitely. So I would like to start with our first question itself. Can you tell us a little bit about your work at Spear Consultancy?
Okay, so maybe I'll just talk about what Spear Consulting do. So essentially, we're a consulting firm that helps our customers and partners improve experiences that drive overall workforce and workplace productivity. So the experiences that we focus on, as mentioned, is really focused on the workforce and the workplace so that we can reduce the day-to-day complexities for people actually in their roles so they can be the best that they can be. Now, this includes streamlining processes, automation, and just generally making sure the technology is fit for purpose, and it simplifies access to systems, information, and each other. More importantly, breaking down silos, improving collaboration, and as I mentioned, really enabling people to be more productive. So our core principle is actually user-centric design. So we start with our end users in mind, be that internal or an external customer. And what we then do is we map out what they need to do day to day in order to complete their task or complete that interaction or transaction. And we focus on removing all the bottlenecks and friction points. Now, these may be technology related, they may be process related, or it may just be a case of kind of end user training and so forth. So we kind of actually cover all those 3 areas. Of late, we've been really focusing on improving the remote workforce experience for our customers by really focusing on those people, processes, and technology to ensure that the remote workforce can be as productive as they can be in these quite unprecedented times.
Yeah, right. So you're just helping all the companies out there and making it easier for them, right?
That's what our mission is, yes.
Great. So I am pretty sure you must be familiar with the term future of work. So it has a lot of meanings worldwide. So what is your take on it? What do you think is future of work?
Okay, so I think things are changing. So I think most people really, or I guess traditionally saw future of work as kind of artificial intelligence and automation replacing people in the workforce. But for me, it's always been about designing the workforce and the workplace to support future business models and to ensure organizations can remain competitive and remain relevant in an age of disruption. And I really think that why I say things are changing, I think that we're sort of seeing an inflection point where more and more people are starting to think this way. I think we're seeing as part of COVID-19, companies are now taking that step back. They're now reassessing what they need to deliver for their customers, how they are, I guess, internally, how they actually do the work that needs to get done. And they're really going against the traditional workforce model. So before it used to be kind of brick and mortar, people are in the same room or the same building, and we're moving to a more distributed workforce. And I think that this pandemic has really taken, or really, I guess, forced people to take that step back and think about what the art of the possible is. Really think about, do I need to do things traditionally? Can I start to think differently? And what are the experiences that I need to do for my workforce and my customers to remain relevant? And I think what we've really seen as well, which I'm really excited about, is we're seeing the change of the importance of our people and our workforce to overcome adversity, to rise above challenges and deliver the results that they needed for their customers. For their customers and for their actual kind of organization. And I think this human creativity and the human perseverance is actually kind of wonderful to see. And this is what really sets us apart from the things like artificial intelligence and AI and machine learning. So just to summarize, so for me, the future of work is really taking that step back and looking at the bigger picture. What will the company need to look like in the future to remain relevant? Taking into consideration external impacts and external forces, such as changes in the generational workforce, employee expectations, customers' expectations, and as we've seen recently, kind of global health, I guess, challenges and concerns as well. And then taking all that and then designing the types of work that still need to get done for an organization, and then overlaying processes and technology to enhance the overall experience of the workforce that will carry out that work. Now, the workforce may be a combination of human and kind of artificial intelligence and so forth. But I really think that the AI component will complement the human workforce and the human experience to make their lives easier, richer, and actually more productive.
Right, I absolutely agree with you. So it has to encompass everything that's there. So it's beneficial for all of us right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, how much of a role will technology play in the workplace of the future?
Yeah, it's a great question. I often sit back and think of where all the things we've done in the past and where we are now, and I'm quite excited about the future. So, look, I think technology will play an ever more important role. But as always, technology needs to be designed and implemented to ensure it adds value to an organization and to the workforce. Not just create another step because it's the popular thing to do at the moment to do A, B, C, or D. And you don't actually, the companies don't think about what the impact that has on their day-to-day activities. For me, the absolute best technology, and I have to say I'm from a technology background. I've spent 25 years in technology, so it's quite close to my heart. So for me, technology really needs to augment the human experience. It's almost like the person using the technology doesn't actually know they're even using that particular kind of technology. And the technology just sits there in the background, makes things easier, learns about that person, and almost predicts what they need in the future to add continuous, I guess, value to that person. A great example of this is some work we've done in the construction area, where there's certain parts of the construction site that you need to be certified to enter. And this is generally from a safety perspective, that you've done the training, that you know that it's a kind of like a high risk zone. So what we're able to do is we're able to create experiences for the workforce that if they entered this kind of restricted zone, that they would be alerted. So either by their phone or like their smartwatch that we had at the time. But then what the technology also did is it went back into the certification system, grabbed that course that the person needed to do, put it in their to-do list, and then also marked out or blocked out time in their calendar for them to complete the course. So it wasn't just a kind of tracking technology that says, hey, you shouldn't be in there. It was an experience technology that says, you're not allowed to be in here yet, but to be certified, this is what you need to do. And it actually made the process a lot easier for people to, I guess, understand where they need to be from a safety perspective, but then improve the productivity so they could get their jobs done quicker by getting certified quicker. And the the sort of feedback from the workforce we got was, was great. And we're able to implement more and more based on that foundation and that foundation of trust that enabled that construction company to actually drive a lot of the productivity gains. And I think, in terms of the current climate and the use of technology, I sort of mentioned before that we're going to have more and more people working from home, and it may be a mixed environment where some people may be remote, some people may be at the office, and kind of vice versa. So for me, the technology that we implement to support this environment really needs to provide some rich insights on the daily activities and the daily workflow that happens in between these environments. And being able to determine if a process is fit for purpose in terms of being executed in a remote environment, or if it needs to hand off between the traditional office environment and the actual work is in the remote environment. So if there's handoffs between certain people, how efficient is that? And is there ability to start to automate these and make it easier for people to do what they need to do? And the last point on the technology for the remote workers is actually giving some power back to the remote workforce, and for them to understand if they are having, experience issues with applications, or the application's slow, that they can actually run their own self-diagnostics and determine if they're having internet connection issues, or if their kind of router or their Wi-Fi at home isn't working properly. And that can actually increase, I guess, their levels of satisfaction, and provide them a way to self-diagnose, and if they can, self-fix things in order to be even more productive. And I think all these kind of areas will be key for technology in the future.
Yeah, I hope that really happens, because if that happens, everything will be so productive, and we would be we all would be successful at that point.
Yeah, and look, I think some of the work that we're doing at the moment with our customers in terms of, the remote workforce experience, it's really going down that path. So, I sort of see things going through kind of 4 phases of this remote workforce. There was the initial frenzy where everyone was quickly working from home. Organizations were, they had their business continuity plans where they really got, laptops and monitors and connectivity for people, which was fantastic. People were getting used to working from home. Maybe they didn't have the right setup at home yet. Maybe they had a area in their lounge room in the corner, and they had some kids in the background as well. And I think as people go through the different phases of the maturity of working from home, from the initial frenzy into getting used to the new environment, to wanting more collaboration, and then wanting more experience, I think that technology will really play a different part along all those different phases. And we're finding that coming true with our customers as well. So the sentiment of the workforce, the needs of the workforce, and the ability for technology in the organization to answer those needs and those sentiments is going to be key for organizations to ensure that they not just remain relevant, but they remain, I guess, people focused, and they retain their talent, and they make sure that they can be, as relevant in the new world as possible.
Yeah, right. I absolutely agree with you on this. So moving on to our next question, I just wanted to ask you, do you think technology is vital in improving the employee engagement of an organization? How can you leverage that to improve employee well-being?
Yeah, and I think that's a really great question. And, I've done a few talks now and a few articles on engagement and well-being. And for me, technology is going to be vital because it allows leaders and the organization to reach as many people as they can and engage as widely as they can. But for me, technology is only a part of the entire process, not the be all and end all. So I think technology is great for providing that platform. It's great for removing friction and ensuring people can find and connect to each other and collaborate. But for me, engagement and to an extent well-being is really about the workforce being emotionally and intellectually present. Now, kind of what I mean by that is that there's 2 areas that I like to focus on, right? So one is kind of human fulfillment. So do I feel valued at work? Do I feel supported? Is the work that I'm doing giving me purpose in terms of my day-to-day activities? And is my management or leadership enabling me to be the best that I can be? Are the processes around HR and performance metrics, are they relevant in the new world? Do they take into account working from home? Do they take into account the mixed kind of, I guess, workforce model? So these give me a sense of emotional connection or emotional fitness, if you like, into an organization. The second part is the technology performance. And yes, are the tools I'm using, are they fit for purpose? Do they enable me to do what I need to do? Can I connect to the things I need to connect, or is it just kind of way too hard? So, in summary, sort of for me, engagement and well-being, while technology is to an extent part of the equation, I really believe it's the leadership that will have an impact on setting the tone and setting that culture and the environment for someone to feel emotionally and intellectually present, for them to be the best that they can be and do their best work at that kind of, I guess, kind of point in time.
Yeah, so if the leadership and technology goes hand in hand, then that would bring out the best in your employees, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It all comes down, I think that there's so much written on the importance of leadership, but the importance of modern leadership. And I think modern leadership really focuses on empathy, understanding, transparency, communication. I think that we've got a lot of leaders now that are, being almost on a really quick learning curve on how to be empathetic, how to understand the external influences that are coming down on people at the moment. And I think, our leadership is going to come out of this, better and faster and stronger than ever before. And I think that our people will be more resilient than ever.
Yeah, I agree with you. So I would like to ask you, what do you think, the role of AI and automation in organizations of the future? So do you see the adoption accelerated due to the pandemic?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned before, I do see AI and automation accelerating at the moment. I see companies wanting to streamline processes. I see the need to streamline processes because a lot of processes in the past were designed for people to be at the office. So I think that, a lot of our customers are now taking that step back and saying, well, if I can't easily connect these two people together, that was more of the manual side of a process. That there's obviously areas that we can look at to kind of automate that and to take some of the pressure off having the remote workforce. And I think we are really seeing companies streamline these, and I think that will continue in the future as well. So I see that, as I mentioned before, process or automation, not just for automation's sake, but kind of part of the bigger picture. So, augmenting what the workforce does on a day-to-day basis, ensuring that, artificial intelligence and to an extent, machine learning and so forth, I see this as a great opportunity for companies to start to add value to their workforce by injecting some of these technologies to really drive the productivity and remove those friction points. So I think that, companies like PwC and some other sort of consulting firms, they're actually, empowering their workforce to really drive their own desktop kind of automation, and for them to really streamline their activities that they do. So I think providing that power into people to learn automation and start to automate their own activities, be it, 6 steps out of the 10 steps, but it's still streamlining things. And I think that's really important for companies to start to focus on and make that part of that kind of bigger picture, as I mentioned.
Yeah, that is a great answer. So moving on to the next question that I have for you. Do you see blockchain growing in the future like any relevance to how business will get done within an organization with blockchain as such?
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of blockchain. I've been on the blockchain bandwagon a while, and I think most of the people who are looking at blockchain are really looking for those scenarios where blockchain can add that most kind of value to an organization. For me, I really like for me, one of the powerful portions of blockchain is around the non-repudiation and the immutable kind of records, that once a record is in there, it can't be changed. Right. So I think that's a very powerful piece of technology. So I see it continue to remain relevant and increase its relevancy in the supply chain process. So in terms of the transparency of the origin of the supply, in terms of that, that kind of product or the fruit or so forth, but also some transparency along the entire, I guess, life cycle of the supply chain. So I see that continuing to be important. And I think as we become more aware or woken as a society in terms of sustainability and ethical production of services and so forth, I think that blockchain will become more and more relevant to enable us to trust the process. The other one for me for blockchain, I've been sort of, I guess, monitoring this for a while. It's kind of around the security and the identity management, I guess, field. So using blockchain to ensure that you can prove who you are and it can't be questioned, and your transaction or your interaction can't be changed. So I know that if I'm dealing with John at that company, that it's John because the blockchain has a record of John and I know that it can't be changed and so forth like that. So I see that being very powerful, and I see that those use cases around security, identity management, and then going into data privacy and data sovereignty, and ensuring that if I need to, I guess, protect my data, that I can somehow use my fingerprint in blockchain to be able to do that. I think that that's going to become more relevant as we become more aware of a society and wanting more control of the data that we provide to organizations, to the world, and how we present that.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that. So to wrap up this interview, lastly, I would like to ask you, do you have any important sound bites to, leave our audience with?
I guess just on the kind of future of work and so forth. I think in the current environment, we're learning a lot about ourselves, and we're learning a lot about our ability to tackle challenges and overcome adversity. And I think the speed at which we're learning and I guess completing things now is unprecedented. I really believe that what we've learned over the last 3 months is almost equivalent to 30 years of learning in the pre-COVID world. Things that we thought were never, that would never happen, have happened. Things that we thought were impossible are now possible. And I think that people are getting a new way of thinking, a new way of challenging ideas, and a new way of, looking deeper inside themselves to overcome some of these areas that we're kind of currently seeing. So, I really believe that our leaders and our workforce and our people and as a society, we will come out of this stronger and better than ever. I think that everyone should continue to look for things that can be improved, to be more efficient, to add value, look for areas to provide leadership, whether informally or formally. And then finally, as a society and in organization and as colleagues and peers and family, we really need to look to support each other. And so that we can rise above any challenge, and that we can all walk to our future as one, with confidence and with purpose.
Right. That is great, and I thoroughly enjoyed the entire interview with you. It was a pleasure talking to you, Michael, and I really appreciate your time and sharing your views with us. It's been a really enriching learning experience for me, and I'm sure that our audience will enjoy this interview too. So let's keep in touch and have a safe and healthy life ahead. And thank you for giving us your time.
Great. And thanks so much for the invitation. Thanks so much for your time. And I hope you stay healthy and everyone that listens stays healthy as well.
Yeah.